Let's now bring in Democratic Congressman Moskowitz of Florida. He's a member of the House Judiciary and Foreign Affairs Committees. Let's start with the realm of foreign affairs. Congressman, bring you in on our discussion here about Ukraine. We heard from President Trump late Friday suggesting that, some frustration again with Russia and saying that he was going to give them about 2 weeks' time to come to the table, or he would perhaps impose real sanctions, or he said he would threaten to walk away entirely and say this is just meaning Ukraine and Europe's problem.
Yeah, well, look, he loves those 2 weeks, time frames. We're 240 days into the 240 plus days into the Trump administration now, and we're still hearing about Joe Biden. I'm interested to, what's the date on the calendar that we stop talking about Joe Biden? Just give me a date, and so I can circle it, right? And then we can say, okay, this is when we stop talking about Joe Biden. He was supposed to end the war within 24 hours. Obviously, we're 8 months in. The war is further along than when he got into office. But listen, I think it is a bipartisan goal to try to end the war, to get it to an end. It doesn't appear the meeting with Putin had any effect at the moment. Obviously, we don't know a lot that was said because they haven't told us. We have no framework, no ceasefire. And so, the American people and the Europeans are waiting to see where this is going to go. And if you listen to the president, millions of people have died in this war. And so, look, Vance didn't really have a great answer there. That's why he mentioned Joe Biden 3 times, right? It's just, adjective, verb, Joe Biden is what the explanation was.
So what would you hope the president would do to place some pressure on Vladimir Putin so Lavrov doesn't feel free and Putin don't feel free to continue thumbing their nose at America?
Well, by the way, I don't need to tell the president how to do this at all. Actually, he's fully capable. I mean, maybe just treat them like you're treating Washington, D.C., or how you treated Greenland when you came into office, or how you treated Canada when you came into office. Where is that President Trump with the Russians? It seems like he's tougher on these other things. He's tougher on Chicago than he is dealing with Putin. So maybe just take that attitude. He's got all of the tools the president does. He has the ability to do those sanctions. He can let the Senate move forward. He can send weapons to Ukraine. He can really squeeze them from an economic standpoint. So the president has the tools. He just has to be willing to use them.
Well, he also has, and we're looking at the pictures of the historic meeting at the White House last week. He also has Europe standing shoulder to shoulder, and Europe talking about 5%. He pressured them for 2% and got up to 5%. So there is, nobody can say that Europe is a deadbeat, that Europe's waiting for us to do this. They came to the White House. They said, we're here. We want to stand shoulder to shoulder with you. At NATO, I think the NATO meeting, they were talking about the 5% they were going to pay. So there is a partnership to stand up to Russian aggression and stop this dead in its tracks.
The one thing Europe is asking President Trump are these sanctions. Put the sanctions in place. White House yet to do so.
Which, again, there's bipartisan, right? I mean,
over 80 senators.
Over 80 senators want that to happen.
80 senators.
Yeah.
Blumenthal Graham, Democrat, Republican, co-sponsored that. But we heard from Lavrov over the weekend. They don't even recognize Zelensky as the leader of Ukraine, so unclear they're willing to sit down for a summit. Congressman, let's turn you to another matter. I know you care about issues involving FEMA, disaster preparedness quite a bit. We have some news just out of this morning from the Washington Post says that 180 FEMA employees sent a letter this morning to Congress, arguing that the agency's direction and its current leaders' inexperience harm the agency's mission and could result in a disaster on the level of Hurricane Katrina. Do you share their concerns? What needs to be done?
Well, first of all, I share their concerns. Second of all, I'm surprised it's only 180. Congratulations to those 180 that had the gumption to do it. I think the whole agency feels this way. And I do think the agency is moving in a direction to have a Katrina-like event, meaning a total collapse, total failure of FEMA response. I do think Kristi Noem's on her way to being Michael Brown in the event we get the wrong storm in the wrong place. They have absolutely devastated FEMA, more so than any agency in all of government. I think the White House, quite frankly, is just catching up to the damage and devastation that Kristi Noem has caused in FEMA. And look, I have no doubt people are praying, as am I, that we have an easy hurricane season. We don't have anything bad. A, we have towns that are still recovering that need it. B, quite frankly, FEMA needs it. But this is now a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? They said, oh, FEMA's a disaster. We need to reform it. I agreed with the reform. FEMA's needed reform for a long period of time. I have bipartisan bills with Byron Donalds to do some of those reforms. But now, if FEMA fails, they're going to say, see, we told you so. Except they're the ones who have absolutely just gutted the agency. And so I'm really worried about places like Louisiana and Alabama and Mississippi and Georgia and South Carolina and North Carolina. I'm less worried about Texas and Florida, but I am really worried about a lot of these states, along the Atlantic, along the Gulf, and as we go up the coast, states that haven't been tested in a long period of time, that don't have the financial resources, that are going to need FEMA's logistical support, not just the money, but logistical support. We don't know if we're getting pre-landfall decks anymore, which is a declaration from the federal government before landfall. We don't know if we're getting expedited reimbursement anymore, which is they send money immediately rather than just waiting, 90 days to get the reimbursement. That helps towns, fiscally constrained areas respond. So yes, this is all levels of bad. There is no good news coming out of FEMA.
Well, hurricane season is upon us. And on that happy note, thank you, Congressman.
Thank you, Democratic Congressman Jared Moskowitz of Florida. We appreciate it.